Welcome everyone to Well That's Horrific, a podcast about anything and everything horror. I am your co-host, Mr. S.
And I'm Tom Cruise.
And thank you for listening to us on the podcast or on YouTube or wherever you prefer it. We immensely appreciate it. As you know, we've mentioned on previous episodes that we are going to be talking about The Watcher today. The Watcher is seriously popular. That's a Netflix hit, since October the 13th. First week, it had 125 million hours streamed. And the second week topped it with 148.2 million hours streamed. That's insane.
To be some sort of record.
I don't know. I should have checked Stranger Things because I thought Stranger Things may have had more, but still.
Stranger Things with its following, but like for a new show?
That's true. That's true. That's seriously impressive. And it had it would hit top, top charts in 65 countries. It's definitely a hit. It's based on true events, based on a true story, but based on true events. We are going to dive a little bit deeper into this episode about what's fact, what's blurred fact, which is, Cap. We're going to be sharing our thoughts on The Watcher, what we think of it, spoilers. Our podcast does contain spoilers, so please listen at your own risk. A little synopsis here. The Watcher follows the Brannick family when they move into what is supposed to be their suburban dream home, but quickly becomes a living hell. Ominous letters from someone calling themselves The Watcher are just the beginning as the neighborhood's sinister secrets come spilling out. That's what we're going to be talking about. I am going to give it to you, Tom Cruise. Kind of start us off. Give us your thoughts, how you want to start, whatever it is. And let's do it. It should be a good one.
Sure. I mean, just to kind of start this, we heard about the show a while back, right? We kind of started watching it a little late. But it was really, really popular. A lot of people were mentioning it to me, and it was something that was on my radar. And I saw one episode, and I was instantly hooked. I think that was the first thing that we mentioned early on.
Right.
We had seen one episode, or I had seen one episode. You had partially seen one episode at the time. I saw one episode. I was intrigued. I didn't even know initially that it was based on a true story. But that, as always, just makes it even more interesting. So, I guess it's a Netflix TV show. There's 7 episodes, right?
Yep.
Only 7 episodes, which at first I was a little surprised. I was like, okay, I thought it was going to be a little longer. But as I started watching it, I realized so much happens in one episode. It does make sense.
Right.
And then begs the question that you mentioned is just how much of this was actually real?
Yeah. So do you know why? Do you know why we say that? So here's a funny thing. I don't know if you follow the channel BuzzFeed Unsolved on YouTube. They have this channel where they have all these unsolved, crimes or mysteries, and they talk about it. And this is actually one of their stories. And I remember watching this a while back, 3 years ago, I want to say. And so when The Watcher came out, when it released on Netflix, I was aware of the story, but I didn't know it was going to be like this, because Ryan Murphy is also notorious for using the truth, but also having a big twist, having his own story in there as well, and all his characters that he adds and stories, this is how he does things, so definitely interesting, definitely caught our eye, and just definitely something that you feel you can try to relate more with, because it is a real story,
it's just so realistic if you really think about it, right? It's just it's nothing. It's something so serious, but somebody wouldn't have thought about how this could actually occur, right? This is real life. You could easily move into a place and then start getting letters, and it's just something about how subtle it is. It's so scary. And I think they played it very, very well, especially with the start of this series. Even early on, going from the first letter to the second letter, and the way that the first episode ends, very, very intriguing, very, very interesting, and that's what kept on coming back every week.
Because let's be honest. If this wasn't based on a true story, and we saw a show about a couple trying to buy a house and they get a letter, people would be like, "Come on, it's so stupid." Tell me not.
Yeah. No, of course.
The fact that it's true.
It's the fact that it actually happened is what makes you want to keep on watching. And keeps your interest.
Exactly.
I mean, let's just jump right into it.
Let's jump right into it. You know, I'm excited to talk about it. You know, you were right about one thing, because you were ahead of me on watching this, and you did say a lot does happen, and a lot does happen in one episode. One thing I do want to mention is that the ending, a lot of people are upset about it. A lot of people are upset about the ending there. I think a lot of the words they were quoting were pointless and underwhelming, and
very anticlimactic, to be honest.
Yeah, and I don't think people understand that it's based on a true story. Like, I think they forgot about that whole part, and I think we know why they feel that way is because they never really find out who the Watcher is.
Yeah. So I guess this begs for a completely different other question: is would you want something like this to keep it true to the story, right, or sprinkle up some some add-ons, because there are some things, and obviously a lot of this show is real, but a lot of it isn't. So a lot of things
we'll get into that. Yeah.
So I guess my question to you is: would you rather them be true to the source material, or like 100%, or is it okay if they ended up changing some things here and there just to make it more interesting? Something that they could have done with the finale.
That's a great question, but I think that the main points in the whole story, the real life story, is what you try to hold on to. And one of the main points is obviously buying the house, getting the letter, and then never finding out who it was. And you got to keep that, because if you add now on, let's say you make someone the Watcher, just like the detective was trying to be it, or whatever it is. It's like defeats the whole purpose of their story, because don't forget, they sold their rights to the story to Netflix. So it's like, you can't take away that element. You have to keep that in. That's a big part of their story.
I agree, but I also think that the ending was anticlimactic. I feel like I wish it was more interesting. I wish it was a little bit something else. But
what would you want? Because this is what happened. This is what I'm trying to say. Like, what would you want?
But I guess the question there is what we've been teasing this entire time is what actually, what was real and what wasn't. For example, I thought the fact that they killed the dog at the end. Sorry. Mm-hmm. And I thought that was a little extreme. And I was like, the way the Watcher comes out of the fucking stairs and all of this. Spoiler alert. And I'm watching this and I'm thinking okay, this took a very dark turn. I was like, is there going to be a reveal here? And I also enjoy the fact that the entire series is meant to point fingers out everywhere. So you don't ever really know who the Watcher is, because there's always somebody else that they make you think it is. It's at one moment you think it's this person, another moment you think it's another. So I love that sort of guess who sort of situation. Right. But when they do something as extreme as killing something or revealing another secret compartment, I don't know. You want the answers to these questions, right. And because they don't answer them, it becomes anticlimactic.
From an entertainment point of view, yes, I agree with you. I think that's so misleading, because it can be we didn't get anything at the end. Really, we watched all these 7 episodes with so much information just to have nothing at the end. I get that. But again, knowing that this is a true story and knowing that this is how it actually did end, I'm okay with it. I think I would be more upset if they made someone the Watcher and that was never the case.
I think I agree with you, but the part that I disagree with is, if you're actually going to stay true to the source material, then stay true to it 100%. I don't like...
When is that the case?
I know, but what I mean is, they kept the ending. The ending was basically what happened in real life, right? You never discover who the Watcher is. And right. I can appreciate some of that. But I also think that, because there are other elements of the show that they changed, it's why not at this point, I don't know, change the ending as well. I don't know, because it's bittersweet, because I at the same time, I appreciate the fact that the Watcher could have been anybody, right? I don't know. Maybe there could have been an ending where it was still a little bit more satisfying, even though you didn't know who the Watcher was somehow, if that makes sense.
I mean, no, I hear what you're saying. You make great points. I feel I'm going to stick to this point where because it's a true story, I think I'm okay with it. I think I'm okay for it. And it can seem anticlimactic, but it's fine.
Okay,
it works. It definitely works.
let's get right to it. Let's get into I know you have some info right in front of me, right in front of you. So do we want to talk about how much of this TV show is actually based on a true story?
Yeah, we can do that. We can talk about the shows for a little bit or whatever. Up to however you want to go about this.
No, let's go ahead. Do you have that in front of you exactly? How much of this was real?
Yeah, I have a couple of things here that I did some research on, figured out what happened and what's real, what's not. All right. So first and foremost, the house is the same address, 657 Boulevard, but the house that is on the show is not the same house that's actually in real life. Okay, it's a lot smaller. Sense. It's not as luxurious as they make it out to be. It costs less. So that's that. So Derek and Maria Broaddus are the real life people of the Watcher story, not Dean and Nora Bradnick. I'm sorry.
Yep.
Sorry. So the Derek and Maria Broaddus, so they bought the house. Then they got the letter. They never moved into the house. They bought it in 2014. They sold it in 2019 for $400,000 less. So they had it for 5 years, and they never lived in it. But they did have people rent it out. Like, they rented it out to a group of people. The thing is here, the letters are pretty much the same as you saw it on Netflix. Same letters, like with the whole basement.
From my understanding, though, also the first letter was a little bit more welcoming. It was more like a welcome letter, versus I feel like the TV show was a little bit more creepy. Yeah,
I mean, they portrayed it pretty much how it was. No big differences there. Derek and Maria, they also had 3 kids, not just 2, and none of them were teenagers. So there was no teenage romance with no, security guy, whatever.
They did contact law enforcement.
They did contact law enforcement. The thing is, there was the family that sold them the house. They were the Woods, and Derek and Maria had asked them if they received any letter, and they said no. They said they received one late, but they didn't make much of it, so they threw it out. And they went together to the police and whatnot, and then they told them not to tell their neighbors because they were going to, everyone was a suspect. But Derek and Maria, they tried to sue the people who sold them the house for not telling them about it, but those charges were dropped. There was a guy that had the gamer tag The Watcher, which I thought was interesting. He was definitely a suspect.
I didn't read that part.
He wasn't questioned anymore because they had nothing on him. They did have a neighbor who was a little sick. He was a suspect too. They lived right next to them, and he did have clear visual into their house. But they didn't have anything on him either. It's crazy to me. All these things that they had that they used, in the show that also did happen in real life. It's pretty scary if you think about it, Yeah,
it's what I would say is typical when it comes to something that is based on a true story.
Absolutely.
Because based on a true story means the concept came from a real life event, and then they usually spice it up, make it interesting, because it wouldn't have been 7 episodes worth with just what we've mentioned.
There's a difference, I think, based on true events and based on a true story. I think when they say based on a true story, I think it's more accurate. Based on true events, it's more of, okay, these things happened here and there, maybe different stories, but we're putting it all together. Does that make sense? It's not that specific story. Like The Strangers. 100%. The Strangers was based on true events, and it was 3 different stories into one. Derek, who is portrayed as Dean in the Netflix show, did write letters to the neighbors, but he never actually sent a letter to his wife. That whole drama between husband and wife never happened. They weren't trying to file for divorce or anything like that. They stuck through it together. But he was actually obsessed with trying to find out who the Watcher was. It was taking over his life, apparently. I
actually appreciate that the show kept that part, too, because, I think that's very realistic.
They did a great job of portraying that. I think I felt so bad for Dean. Like he was trying so hard, like to figure out who the Watcher was, at the same time trying to protect his family, at the same time trying to maintain his job and get partner and doing all these things. Like he loves his family clearly, and he's doing all this work, but it's wearing him down. He's losing his job, he's losing his family, and it's just his daughter too. His daughter's by the way, if I ever had a kid like that, my God, like I might as well be a Watcher myself. I'm telling you right now, that is just terrible. But
yeah, that was crazy. I really don't understand why she made some of the decisions that she made. She did not know the circumstances, or she did not know the results of some of the things that she did. But okay,
but yeah,
let's talk about the cast. Let's talk about the cast.
I like the cast. I'll be honest with you.
Naomi Watts coming back. I haven't seen her in a minute in something else.
When is the last time I saw her?
I don't know. That's what I'm saying. I don't remember the last time I saw her.
When is the last? I feel like I don't remember anybody here besides the neighbors, Mitch and Joe. Was it Mitch and Joe?
Yeah.
Besides them, I don't know anyone else.
Where have we seen them? Because we definitely have seen them as well.
I've seen them somewhere. I gotta see. I'll put it up, but they're very familiar.
I had never seen the kids. Jennifer Coolidge, whatever you want to call her, she's in a lot of things. We know her. Mm. The dad is in Ant-Man. I know that much. And then Naomi Watts is in a whole bunch of things, but we haven't seen her in something in a minute. So like the last thing I saw Naomi Watts in was, honestly, I don't even remember.
Okay, nice.
I like maybe The Ring 2. I don't remember the last thing I saw her in. But the rest of the cast, I never had seen in anything. The neighbors, like you mentioned, I've seen him in something. I can't think of it off the top of my head. He's in a lot of
Disney projects. He's also in Star Trek. A couple of things. But they were great.
I thought everybody did a great job. Had like across the board.
Karen, you mentioned Karen, Jennifer. Her character is made up. Like everything about her in the show never actually happened in real life. It was fake. Like that's another thing. Yeah,
they had to spice it up. There's certain things that
of course. I'm just throwing it on to people there. Yeah, so let's talk about the show itself, I guess, like in just some scenes or whatnot, like what we appreciated, what we thought was done right. You know, I think I want to talk about the temple first. I think the temple was great. I think they did a great job of kind of introducing everything, like the house, at the same time their money problems, understanding that they had a financial crisis at one point, understanding that, you know, the father's kind of protective of his daughter.
I think that's where I think they knocked it out of the park. Just the pacing in general of this was very, very well done. Just the way they organized the series of events. So much, like I mentioned, happens in one episode, but it was done so well that it's very intriguing. And there's never really a slow time. Like just when you think something is nothing's happening, then something happens, and then you're like very into it. I felt that way probably up to episode 4. Then after episode 4, 5, things get a little different. But for the most part, like I don't know if you remember my enthusiasm last week when I was talking about this. I was only up to episode 4, and I was like ready to start talking about it just because I was so hooked in, so excited. And by the end of episode 4, you're like this man's world is crumbling around him.
Man, it makes you feel for this dude. I felt sorry for him, man. And like the wife too. I mean, marriage is a loving union, you know, like a partnership with somebody. Like I understand there's some people who get into marriage and then they figure out like their whole life was a lie because their partner's been lying the whole time. I get that. It does happen in real life. But come on, give some people benefit of the doubt. You really think this guy is the Watcher? Like, come on, man. Like he did whatever he could to get you the house. And the detective too. The detective was really pissing me off, man. Like really pissed me off because like every person she just like suggested in the beginning like was just wrong, you know, like you were just wrong about it, and then you go to the wife, you know, turning, you know, her against her husband. I'm just like, bro, what are you doing? Like I liked her character, but the fuck are you doing? Like you're a terrible detective.
But I think to that point, I think that's what made it very interesting. I thought everybody was sus. The detective was sus. She was sus.
The detective was definitely sus.
Everybody was sus. The only people that weren't sus to me was the actual the dad. Yeah. I was actually feeling for him. And to your point on the marriage, it was just crazy to see how even she turned her back on him. Like
Yeah.
Everything was crumbling. And then I love the way they shot that particular episode. I don't know if it's episode 3 or episode 4, where it starts and she's in the living room and he's walking in and
when she has the
she has the USB
4
and then
4.
And then it goes backwards and explains what the USB was. Just such a great job.
Great job. I hated it though. I hated the whole principle of the video though. I think it didn't make sense. I thought it was. I thought it was.
I was more so like, so that's one of the things that was never answered. That's the problem, right?
That's
there.
what I'm saying. That was one thing.
One of the frustrating things is when you start seeing things that you don't get an answer to. Like,
Right.
okay, somebody was in the basement, and then you kind of get a review of who was. No, sorry, somebody had access to that secret compartment in the basement.
Right.
We get the reveal. He doesn't, but we get the reveal of who was.
Mm-hmm.
But then, who was that person in
Right.
details? Like,
Yeah.
where was the answer?
I don't have any knowledge that happened in real life.
No, it didn't. It didn't.
So why put that there? You know what I'm saying?
Make things more interesting.
Yeah, I honestly thought like it was gonna be a video of him, like, kind of playing with himself, because that's what he was doing at one point.
Yeah.
But which is fine, because I guess it's human nature. Let him be, But that just made no sense. Like, come on, bro. Like, she was put there. He didn't see her or feel her there, and we never got an answer to that.
Yeah,
I get it. They did it just to spice up the story. It worked, cool, but yeah, I don't know. So John Graff, right? He ends up in his kitchen. He starts acting like the inspector. So the thing is, John Graff is based.
Or is that John Graff?
I think it's John Graff, because then at the end,
and he's like, "How's your family?"
Exactly at that meeting. So that's one thing that's also a blurred fact, is that there's no such thing as a preservation society. There's no such thing. There was never a thing like that. But there was a guy, I forgot his name, John something. I'm going to look up into it right now. In Westfield, a couple of blocks away, where he actually did murder his family, his mom, his wife, and his 2 kids. Then he went to disappear for the next 17, 18 years until they found him and put him in jail, where he died. So that story is actually true.
Well, some of it, at least. And
yeah, I mean, some of it, because it didn't take place at 657 Boulevard.
Yeah.
So that's not true. But the guy's name was John. He did kill his family. He did have financial issues. He did have a job that he was fired, like let go from, and like he was taking money out of his mom's account and stuff like that. But it just didn't happen in the house. So that's pretty creepy. Yeah, man, I think they did a great job, man. Just the suspense too. This is not horror. This is all thriller, all suspense to me, in my eyes. But the suspense was done very, very well. That's what I was saying about that. Like, credit to them. The suspense was done amazing, amazingly, and just like every single scene too. Like you mentioned it too. The tempo was great. It's just like one thing about shows today is like they like to give you the best pieces of the best scenes like in the last 10 minutes or so. Like, no, like they do a pretty good job just continuing on, like they got something going. And this is Ryan Murphy, man. Like he's not new to this, to this game. So he knows what he's doing. What I did want to talk about, I just had it, lost my train of thought. Dang it. Another fact is the fact that the DNA was a woman's DNA, like from the detective that he investigated.
The envelope, yeah.
The envelope, right. So here's my thing. I definitely think the watcher was, or is, because I don't know if they're alive or not, is a woman. And I've said this too. I'm not trying to, take anyone off or anything like that. I do feel like if it was a man, it would have been a little bit more aggressive. Maybe the notes wouldn't have been as thought out. And I don't know, maybe because the way it says, I've learned your kid's name now, I will call to them, you know what I'm saying? And just, I don't know. I feel like because it was a woman, it wasn't as harmful. I mean, it was definitely scary. Definitely, I'm not trying to, disregard that. But
I think what I agree. That makes sense. But I think what was interesting about the show is that they put this voiceover, right? They put this narrator.
Yeah.
And it's such a creepy narration. But I was a little disappointed at the fact that there was never more than 2 letters. Like I kept on waiting for something else to happen.
Well, they got 3 letters in real life.
But there was only 2 in the show, no?
There were...
The third one was revealed to be him.
Right, yeah. Yeah, I guess so. But it's crazy. I think it's crazy to me that the DNA was a woman. Like, I think that's crazy. I do believe the way the show portrayed it is that there could have been more than one. And it's possible. Yeah. It's definitely possible.
It seemed like everybody was in it in some sort of degree.
But it consumed Dean to the point where his marriage was at stake. Thank God it was fixed. They moved out, and he was still trying to figure out who the Watcher was. And I'm not saying I'm gonna need therapy, like the way he did, but I think I would want to know who it was too, man. Like I think
it'll eat at you forever.
It would definitely eat at me. I mean, obviously not to the point where I'm losing my life over it, because it's not that serious. And also, I think you're also letting that person win. If that's the case, you're losing your job and stuff like that. But if I'm in good spirits and I'm not letting it eat me alive, I'm gonna invest my time into trying to figure out who this person is.
Now let me ask you a question.
That's insane if you think about it.
Was I the only one that when I saw the therapist, I'm like, this dude is sus too? It's him. He's talking. It's the Watcher is somehow the therapist.
Can you imagine?
I honestly thought by that scene that Dean had figured out who the Watcher was, and he had figured out that it was the therapist and was intentionally seeing him, like intentionally seeing the Watcher.
Oh, that's an interesting spin.
Like, I thought that was going to be the reveal. It was like this. It's going to end up being this man for some weird reason, and Dean figured it out and went to go visit him on purpose. Even that man looks sus.
That is an interesting take on that. Wow.
How many times did you think you knew who it was?
Me?
Yeah.
No, none.
You never thought it was anybody?
Because I knew the story before. Gotcha. I was not that, and I guess that's the bad thing, when you know the story. If you know before.
The whole story,
yeah. But I thought it was interesting, like to see how they play it, especially that tunnel scene. I'm like, okay, that's great, but that thing too, there was never a tunnel, right? Like in real life, there was never a tunnel, and then you put in that. There was also never like a cult or blood cult, or whatever you want to call it. So it's just like.
Yeah, but that's sort of implied here that we don't even know if that was really true, right? That blood cult thing.
True with that whole actor guy or whatever it was. I get it. But... And
then by the end of it, you don't think Mitch and Mo are actually in on it, right?
No.
It was also super sus that they killed themselves, or quote unquote, apparently it was her son the entire time.
Yeah, that never happened either.
That was mass sus.
Yeah, no, it was definitely they did a great job of making everybody a suspect. The show itself, I never thought they were going to reveal who the Watcher was. If they did, I don't know if I would like it. I really don't know if I would like it if they did it.
I don't know. I think the issue that I have is that they asked so many questions, right? Or they kept us with so many questions. So like, there's a lot of answers that we didn't get as to like the girl and, is that really John Graff? Which kind of that was answered. Mm-hmm. But who killed the little, was it a ferret? Who killed the dog at the end? Who would actually do that? Because then when you actually think about it, I was like who out of all the people it could be, who would have done any of that? Like, I don't think it would have been anybody there.
So I was under the impression that. So they set up alarms, right? And even the security guy at one point was like, yo, like I checked the house, triple checked it all the time. The video, the footage, they never came inside. So how did that person get in there, right? So Dean makes a good comment in the show where he says they lead to multiple houses, the tunnel. So it's definitely a neighbor. So like it makes you think it's definitely a neighbor. I thought it was Jasper's side at one point, because I was under the impression that the tunnel just led to them, but it didn't, because otherwise Dean would have followed through with the whole thing,
Yeah, no, I mean, that's true too. That's true too. It does make you believe it's one of them, But then there's just a question of the girl and stuff like that. And I don't know.
The teacher
Bloco thing, that guy, I don't know. The teacher, the teacher, who it was basically the Watcher was heavily influenced by this person, whether it was him or not.
Yeah, he apparently was based on a teacher over there in Westfield too. So
I wouldn't be surprised. Like even the way that they describe the project and stuff, it sounds like something that an actual teacher would have done. Like write a love letter to a house. I would never do that. Now I'm not watching this. That sounds fucking terrible for the owner of the house.
Yeah, I would question the assignment. Be like, what are we doing here?
You want me to actually send it to them? I was like, what?
Yeah, like, what are we doing here? You know, it's just crazy. I think that's one thing that attracted me to the show is the fact that this happened in real life, and it makes you put yourself in their position. And it's terrible, you know, especially when you have kids. It's definitely tough. Once they got that second letter where the children's names were written there, you know, and they were saying, you know, I will call to them, have they checked out the basement, you know, if they scream, will you hear them? Like, that's terrible. They never brought their kids around anymore in that house. And it's scary. It's a scary situation. And, you know, it's funny. At one point, they were their own suspects. Like, the neighbors thought that they were doing this for, like, clout and then so they can sell their rights, which doesn't really make sense to me because they lost a lot of money in the process. And it just doesn't make sense to me. I don't know how somebody would think that that far along. Like, you have to really think in the long run. Like, this is gonna be a thing. I think the thing that did it for me is like the first 4 episodes. I wanted to watch each one of them, but after episode 4, I would say episode 5, I was already getting the vibe that like there's not gonna be a satisfying conclusion to this. At this point, it was just like red herring after red herring after red herring. And when it gets to the point where like episode 6, they're completely out of the house. So now, you know, there's no letters arriving. They're just trying to figure out who the Watcher is, or they're trying to live their life past that. I feel like once it got away from the house, it wasn't as interesting. And then I knew starting episode 7, I was just like, there's no way it's going to have a satisfying ending at this point. I mean, I see what you're saying. I really do, but I don't see it that way. I don't know. I really don't see it that way. I feel like I said, the flow was great throughout. You know, you couldn't stop watching, and just they give you a lot of content. You know, a lot of realistic, you know, scenarios that occur, and just like I'm okay with it. Every single thing I was okay with. You know,
I agree. I wish the ending was more satisfying.
What do you want the ending to be?
Critique, so you got to see the series as a whole. Like, this is it, right? There's no season 2. This is it.
Right.
And with the show being so successful, it's like maybe Netflix would be inclined to do season 2, and then it would just be like its own thing. It's you see, that's what you don't appreciate. You want it to be you wanted to keep the realism of the fact that it was based on a true story, but they're already taking the liberty to change multiple things that happen. Give me something that's more satisfying as a conclusion, because I feel like in general, like I feel like the first 4 or 5 episodes, I would say like knocked it out of the park. But then again, as I was going towards the end, I just felt like it wasn't satisfying anymore, only because it didn't have an end result. It's like fucking Game of Thrones, when you're like everything happened for no reason.
Okay, fine, I get it, but my thing is this: like, they gave up their rights to the show. I mean, to their story for a Netflix show, right? Now, Netflix wants to honor that story. They want to go ahead and make a show regarding that, you know, story. Can you imagine an ending where they reveal that the Watcher is like one of the neighbors, right?
I just Googled something. Can you do me a favor? Can you search this?
Okay.
The Watcher season 2.
Oh God!
Just go ahead and Google it. Just go ahead and Google it. Guys, this is live.
The Watcher season 2, potential release date, cast wide, and everything you need to know.
So I got
they announced it.
Yeah, I got a specific article here that says they went ahead and announced that they're making a season 2. So what does that tell you? Right?
That tells me exactly what you like to say. What is your favorite thing that you like to say when anytime somebody makes a sequel?
Well, they're never going to they're never going to surpass the original.
No, you say something else.
What do I say? What do I say?
Money. It's all about money.
Oh no, of course it is always about money. You say that
all the time. Yeah. So that's why they're doing that.
Because the show was so successful. We just spoke about how successful the show was.
I promise you, they're not making a second season because of people thinking the ending was anticlimactic. They're making a second season. It's like, yo, look how much money we made. We're gonna make more. That's what they're thinking.
Yeah,
but my thing is this.
The thing is, because they left the ending the way it is, they can make a season 2 because this could have been the ending. And I get it to your degree. I feel like the way you like it or the way you wanted it is almost like a documentary. Like if we were just watching a documentary, we're like, this is what happened and this is the end.
No, I don't want a documentary. I can watch the documentary if I want. I don't want a documentary.
Yeah.
I just, when you do a true story, there's a beginning and end, right? Do whatever you want in the middle. Not whatever you want, but you can add on your little touches and whatever. Do that. Ryan Murphy does that. I don't care about that. But you're not going to give me a story that is notorious for us not knowing who the watcher is, and then you're going to tell me that you're going to give us a watcher? And also think about maybe a lawsuit. Like, think about it. What if one of the neighbors in the show becomes the watcher, and then like, yo, no, listen, don't do that. Like, because this is still a mystery that's unsolved.
Well, that's why you change names and stuff like that. Because it's a TV show. That would only happen if they pretty much said it was like a documentary. At that point, they already have the liberty of it's a TV show. It's half the things that we spoke about didn't actually happen. So,
but the thing is, the TV show also changed the names of the real life people, but we still know that's their story.
Yeah, but the fact that it's not the same name basically allows them to do whatever the hell they want. If they want to make Dean the Watcher at the end and he killed everybody and he's somehow behind everything,
is that what you wanted?
No. I don't think Dean would have been the Watcher. I thought Pearl was going to end up being the girl that we saw somehow.
Mm-hmm.
Like maybe she just did pigtails and snuck in with John Graff or did some crazy shit. I don't know. The only thing that made sense with the characters that we were given. Who else could that girl have been unless it was somebody else?
Oh, see, now if there is a season 2, they're gonna explain that probably.
No, of course. But
I don't think it's gonna be with the same characters.
I wonder. Yeah, exactly. I wonder if season 2 is, continuing this, or it's just going to be its own. I have a feeling that it would be a completely different set of characters, just with the same idea, same premise.
Interesting. I mean,
I still recommend it, but I saw it with my girlfriend, and we both agreed it was just anticlimactic. It was just. It's one of those things that by the end of it, it just makes you think like that wasn't worth it. Like fuck, wish it was a little more satisfying.
We can agree to disagree. I think on that. I think I'm very much okay with the ending, and I'm also very pleased that it was 7 episodes. Like, can you imagine this thing being like 10, 15? Like, no, this was perfect. 7 episodes. It seems condensed, but it's not. It gives you a lot of information. They do a lot of things right, and it's just kudos to them. Seriously, kudos to them.
No, 100%.
Really great.
I agree with you there 100%. I thought everybody did an amazing job, and I think with 7 episodes, the pacing was great. Like, enough things happened in one episode that you thought, like, damn, I was just watching a movie, basically.
Right.
Like, every episode was just, like, so much. Like I mentioned, specifically, like, I'd say the first 4 or 5 episodes had me, like, so much things were happening in one episode. I couldn't believe that it was only one episode that I was watching.
Yeah.
But with that being said, I still highly recommend watching the TV show.
Yeah.
Let us know what you think. Yeah. I still say definitely worth a watch, and yeah, give it a shot. I guess I'm intrigued as to what season 2 would be like. But
keep it up, out. Netflix. Come on, keep it up. You guys are making some type of comeback. I don't appreciate you raising prices, though. I mean, everybody's raising prices. Every single subscription company is raising prices, and shame on all of you. Shame.
Yeah,
but final rating.
Are we rating a TV show? 8 out of 10. I would have rated it more if it had a better ending.
Oof, dang. Still a good rating. 8 out of 10 is a pretty solid rating.
I still really enjoyed it.
The Watcher, Netflix show based on a true story.
I feel like at this point you have to give it like a 9 out of 10. 10 out of 10.
A lot of content, a lot of great stories.
Are we teasing here?
No, I'm just trying to review it in my head here. A lot of character breakdowns, a lot of suspense, a lot of suspects, a lot of different directions. 9 out of 10.
Yeah, I figured.
Give it a 9 out of 10. Solid.
I figured. I feel like I would have given it a 9 out of 10, or even. I thought it was perfect until pretty much the end. But that's it in terms of The Watcher.
Yep.
I did have something else that we missed last week. I can't believe we missed this, man.
I know we missed it. But you're here to talk about it, so go ahead.
Yes.
Fill us in. What did we miss last week?
Saw X was announced, with Tobin Bell returning as Jigsaw again.
What the fuck, man?
That died 5 movies ago.
Why? Why? I mean, if in all honesty, we can't think about anyone else when it comes to Saw, right?
Yeah, and I get it, and I do get it, but
damn is right. This movie is gonna be 2 things: another flashback movie or some type of resurrection. Like,
there's no way you can resurrect a man who we saw die clear as day. We even saw his autopsy.
I'm telling you, man. Like,
he was a clone.
Like, he's starring in it. They can't make the same movie like they did before.
So here's my gripe with Saw, and I think I've mentioned this before: is that there's so much retcons in these movies. And, like, every time there's a sequel, there's another retcon. So now it's, like, Saw X, and it's Tobin Bell again. So there has to be another retcon where, like, what more can you explore at this point? Because they've already done a prequel to Saw. The last Jigsaw was part a prequel to Saw. Right. So it's like, how many of these can you do? Right. I'm not even counting Spiral. So, like, what's going on
Spiral.
here?
Put Spiral somewhere else.
yeah, please. How does this even work? How is he starring in it?
I think the fact that you have to ask the question, that I have to ask the question, and I'm sure that many other people have to ask the question, I'm gonna allow the retcons and all of them. Just do it, give me Tobin Bell, and then
he never died.
Bro, I don't even give a shit, bro. Just do it. Fuck it. Like, it's insane, man. It really is insane.
Take place between movies now. Because
he died at the end of 3. That's a good. Wow, I didn't think of that.
He died in 3 at the end of 3. That also takes place
he
at
got
the same time
his
as 4.
neck slit.
Sliced, yeah. So he died at the end of 3, which also took place at the same time as 4.
Right.
Then in 5, you see his autopsy.
Right.
Clear as day, right? He swallowed the tape. They even get the tape out of his stomach.
Yeah.
And then what is it? Jigsaw, like I mentioned, partially a prequel, where they explain that he had another man working for him. And I don't know. At this point, I don't know.
It becomes confusing, I think, at that point. When you feel like you have the story figured out, you have like the origins figured out, and then it's like, no, like, haha.
Yeah, how much more I think they just want to, make sure they use this man before he passes away. He's already an old man. Let's keep on making Saw movies at this point. It's gonna be Saw 50. Yeah. Tobin Bell's still gonna be in it. It's gonna be a prequel to a prequel to a prequel to a prequel to a prequel. I don't know, man. Like, I love the Saw franchise, and I'm still gonna watch it. And like you mentioned, we're just gonna look the other way when they announce whatever the retcon is.
Yeah, I mean, listen, like it'll work. I mean, I don't know. I'm gonna watch it. It just, like I said, at this point, like, I'm allowing anything they want to do. Like, I don't know, but yeah, we forgot to mention that, man.
Yeah, and the only thing that they mentioned is that I think it's due by next year Halloween. So, like, that's
really
pretty fast, yeah. And they mentioned that it would make Jigsaw fans very happy. So Tobin Bell fans very happy. Yeah, they said it's on its way for a Halloween 2023 release.
Okay, perfect. Sounds good.
I don't know what that means. I'm assuming that means it's going to be filming soon, or like probably in the next few months, so it could be ready by October.
That's cool. One thing I wanted to mention was Jenna Ortega. I said that right? See how I said that? Yes. Jenna Ortega's comments on Neve Campbell regarding Scream.
I didn't see any comments on Neve Campbell. I did hear hear that she said it was going to be like more gory this time around.
Yes.
Did hear that.
I
never trust people who are starring in it. It's not like she's the one making the cuts of the movie. Right?
You know,
the director.
I agree with you on that too, because I feel like at this point a lot of people try to sell the movie, just like freaking Jamie Lee Curtis tried to do it with Halloween Ends.
Yeah.
This shit will fuck you up. I mean, did the wrong way, but she said it's very clear there's references to Sydney, of course. You know it's nice because there's still protectiveness in the script, and that's something that the actors had naturally over her because obviously we respect her, and we want the best for her. She's missed and thought of. And then she goes on to mention that it's going to be pretty bloody, the movie. And I also read somewhere, I forgot what I read, where they said that a lot of people are going to die in this movie. The people that you think are going, like, just because they survived in the first movie doesn't mean they're gonna survive in this movie. That they will probably be dead.
I don't know. So. Let's see, man. The movie's gonna start, and this time they're gonna rework the intro, and Jenna Ortega's gonna be the first character to die.
I need more kills in this movie. I'm telling you, I need more kills in this movie. So we have Jenna Ortega who survived. We have Sam who survived. Sam's not gonna die though, so cross that out. So Jenna Ortega, the twins, Mindy and Chad. That's it. I think those are the only ones that survived, right?
Gail survived.
Yeah, but Gail is okay.
Gail's gonna die in this one.
5 people survived. Right?
Sam
survived. So Sam is going to survive. I know she's going to survive.
I see what they're doing with this trilogy. Scream 5, they kill Dewey. Scream 6, they kill Gail.
Gail, possibly.
7,
I think
Scream
so.
7,
maybe.
They bring Sydney back just to kill her. Ooh, perfect.
That'll be whack. But out of those 5 people that survived,
get them all out of here. Already.
Out of those 5 people that survived, I need 3 of those people to die from that group. That's excluding the people that are going to die in this movie that are new faces.
I wish they were as ballsy as like the original Scream, where like the whole take where like Drew Barrymore was supposed to be Sydney's character, and she was like, "No, I think it would be amazing if I died." So let
she made the franchise, but she
exactly.
saved this franchise, man.
So like, imagine if you know, we think what's her name, Sam is going to be the protagonist of this, and they pitch the entire movie as it's her, you know, continuation of her movie, and then she just fucking dies in the first 10 minutes.
Oh my god. I mean, I'm
and then
excited.
make Jenna the protagonist. Boom.
I'm excited to see Kirby and Gail.
Kirby's dying. You know that, right? Kirby's dying.
You think?
I'm putting money that Kirby dies.
But
they're like, oh, you guys like this character? Oh, you want this character back? Bet we'll bring it back to some.
You see, but that's not a bad idea though. That's not a bad idea to, excuse me, to draw people in, and then be like, here, you know,
yeah,
we just
got what you
wanted.
You want her back? Oh, yeah, you're gonna get her back.
But that's the thing, man. I like it when movies take chances and are ballsy. I just like where I can't easily predict something. You know what I'm saying? I want to be proven wrong as much as I possibly could. You know?
Yeah, and I would say that I think they did that successfully with the last movie.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I knew.
I think you predicted it to a certain degree.
Yeah, I think I knew Dewey was going to die.
I did predict Scream 4 though. I predicted the
Killers.
One of them, yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't predict Emma, but I did predict
Charlie.
Yeah. Charlie was like, come on,
Charlie.
Like, he just.
I like Charlie though.
Sus, bro. I like Charlie too. I always love the movie geeks. Always love.
Yeah. But no, so that should be good. You know, we definitely have some movies coming out in 2023 that should be good. Scream. Was it a Crooked Man? Crossed Man?
Yeah, I think so.
The Nun 2. Good movies are coming out. But yeah, that's all I have right now, honestly.
Yeah. That's pretty much it from my end as well. I guess lastly, I don't think we've spoken about this before. I don't know if you've ever played the game, but it is kind of horror related. That they are making, and there's already a specific trailer of the first trailer out of the HBO series The Last of Us. I don't know. Did you ever play the game?
No, I haven't, but I know it's very popular.
Yes. So it's very, very popular game, and I would say it's mostly plot driven. So it's just the narrative itself is interesting. Yes, it is. It does take place in this apocalyptic universe or world where there's like this virus that's spreading. So it's kind of like Walking Dead-ish, But what makes it more interesting is the actual characters and their connection. So you get this character named Ellie, and then we have Joel. I won't tease it in case you ever do watch or ever play the game or watch the series, but I would highly recommend. And they got pretty good characters pretty good actors to play the characters.
Isn't the guy from Star Wars?
Yes.
Yeah, I think
the guy from Mandalorian.
Yeah, I think I've seen a trailer or something.
Yeah, so there's a trailer out for this. There's a trailer out for this. It does look very Walking Dead-ish.
So if I watch this, do I have to know about the game?
You do not.
Okay, so I can just watch this like out the
correct.
Back. Oh,
I think. Having played the game, you just know kind of the ending, but it's just a question of how much they're going to follow the game, right? It seems like they're following it to a T, but I'm not entirely sure.
Okay.
Yeah, and the games are great.
When's the debut? You know?
Let's look it up. I did have it open here, so
because I would definitely be on that for sure. And you said HBO too, right?
Yes, it's right now. It says coming to HBO and HBO Max in 2023.
Okay. So next year.
Yep.
Interesting.
That's pretty much it. I know. I just wanted to touch on that since I know that that's like coming soon too.
Yeah, absolutely. There you go. The more you know.
The more you know. So, with that being said, follow us on Instagram, YouTube, and TikTok at Well That Terrific, and Twitter at That Terrific. Because if you don't,
well, that's horrific. Peace.
Peace.